My people, I think we both know that the economy is not smiling right now. The Nigerian economy is not smiling. And I wish I could say it's just Nigeria, but it's happening all over the world. Globally, inflation is rising. Depreciation of the naira is just increasing by the day. The naira is not fighting back. The ratchet effect is in play where prices of things are going up, and even when our currency normalizes, it's not going down. So you can expect the prices that are there now to still be the prices that will be there consistently. It's crazy. It is sad that it's happening, and sometimes I just feel very pained. Like, how are people surviving at this time? How are people making ends meet? How are people feeding? I recently wanted to buy tomatoes and peppers to make stew and stuff. I remember back in the day, it wasn't not just even 2 years ago, before I relocated, you buy 2,500 naira tomato and pepper. It's something you would carry something. Like you would baby the thing. You would carry something. At the time my wife bought these things recently, I said, is there more in the car? She said, no, this is it. I said, oh, this is new reality. Guys, it's crazy. And now it feels like people are pushed back in one. And you can tell me what the biggest ache is for you about what is happening right now. You can put it in the comments. Let me know. Let me feel your pain with you. If I just recently, transformer in the estate blew. I think they said someone went to touch something and boom. We already like, what on earth? Light went out, only for them to tell us it's going to take 3 weeks to replace this thing. 3 weeks. Why? Why? Anyways, we have to burn fuel, and then of course the prices of fuel is crazy, right? Probably double what was it, double or three times what we used to buy before. I can't remember, but like burning fuel on a constant, it's crazy. So I feel the pain too, maybe not in the same way as others, but it's crazy. However, a lot of people feel like there is just no hope anymore. The best thing to do right now is travel. Japa. Japa means a situation where people migrate from one place to the other because of finding better, greener pastures. You're welcome. People do that a lot, and it didn't just start now, not just because of the economy, but now, of course, the state of things is making it feel like this is survival mode. This is the only option right now. And even that is very expensive. To Japa is super expensive to raise the funds, probably to ship out that person for school or some other menial job they have to take on to make ends meet. It is super expensive to do, but it seems like that's the only option for generational sustenance. But is it really? Right? Like, just thinking about it, it seems like this has been the African dream from the very beginning. With our parents, our parents hustle as much as they can to provide the basic child support and education for their kids, and hustle some more to get better education and ship them abroad. And they hope they finish school abroad, get a good job, start a family, maybe even send money home. That would be nice, huh? It just seems like this is the African dream. Don't stay here. Of course, in more developed countries, it's almost the opposite. It's stay here. There are opportunities here waiting for you because we've catered to it. And I was just talking the other time to people at my church, the Vivified Church. I was telling them about what literally happens in the UAE with UAE citizens. Like, the average UAE citizen is a baller, agbag baller. You are a baller, you are a debola, you're good. Like, you're fine. Like, zero income tax, guys. For perspective, in the UK, if you earn high, you can pay up to 44% in tax alone. Almost half your salary is gone in tax alone. In Nigeria, I think I used to pay up to 29%. Crazy. Zero income tax. You get funding for your first marriage, like funding for the wedding of your first marriage. You a lot of the kids have free education, free medical bills. You get allotted a plot of land or a fund towards your first house. Like, these are human beings, guys. Like, I'm talking about a real place with real citizens. This is what is happening there. They are so protected. It's almost as if to be a citizen you are paid. Like, you are being paid to be a citizen. It blows my mind. Sadly, we don't just have that here. So it seems like why not push these people that are your kids and your family to those places where the system works? And I get it, I get the sentiment. But I also find a lot of people make the silliest, gravest mistakes making such a decision. So we need to have that conversation, to Japa or not to Japa. Can we talk? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Let's talk about it, guys. If you haven't already, please like this video so people get to know how awesome you are and how awesome I'm trying to be. Comment as well, share with your friends, subscribe to this channel with a notification as well, so you know when more videos come out as well. Man, this YouTube thing is interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I never thought I'd be doing this, but hey, please do. I'm begging, please. Economy is hard. Please subscribe. Please. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's get into it. These are my thoughts about traveling and relocating. Number one, there's nothing wrong with traveling abroad at all. Like, if people ask, is traveling bad? Absolutely not. I, for one, love to travel. Like, the best gift you can give me is to have me see a new place I've never been before. That's like the best gift ever. I love adventures. I love seeing new places, meeting new people, embracing new cultures, learning new languages. I love it. I'm crazy about it. And I think it's beautiful to travel and see the world. So, of course, if you're going for a vacation, there's nothing that's stopping you. It's great. If you are going for a training course or a business program, by all means, please go. Enjoy yourself. Learn and develop your skill. If you're going for a master's degree, right, or whether it's your bachelor's, your master's, or your PhD, by all means, I think it's great. If you're someone who enjoys the academia, if you feel like this is the next step for you in your career and your knowledge, then please go for it. Nothing wrong. I feel like a lot of people can over spiritualize such decisions. You didn't have to have a vigil, prayer, and fasting to say, hey, should my child go to nursery school? Should my child go to primary school? Like, it was almost a given. If they were going to be literate, to even know and read the Bible for themselves, communicate and be relevant to society, they need to be educated some way. So when it comes to even tertiary education, some people have over spiritualized it, and I think that's where it could be wrong. If you believe that you need that information, you need that training, that education, please, by all means, go for it, right? Of course, maybe you now start to consider things like what school, what program, and that's where you need to seek the face of the Lord and everything. But I think it's fine to have those desires and pursue them, right? That said, what many people don't think about is if to stay. So yes, going is fine. You go all right to travel. You've gone to do whatever it is that you want to do in that country of choice. But the question is, should you stay there? That's the real question you need to answer. Are you supposed to now stay and live and be a resident or a citizen of this place? And why? All right. These are the questions you need to ask around this. I think it's very important, right? If you're going to ask any questions, the first thing I'll say is ask, why are you moving? All right. Why are you moving? Why are you running away from your country? Why are you moving? What's the reason? Is it because there's a trend? Is it because there's the trend? Everybody is doing it right now. Everybody's going to Canada. Everybody's going to the UK. Everybody's going to America. Wherever people are going now. Like, is it because there's a trend to it and this could work? Oh, everybody's going to Germany because Germany has free education. Are you just doing it because it's a trend? Or is it a dream of yours? Is it something you're passionate about? Is it something that only that country maybe offers in terms of the quality of that education that you're seeking, or quality of the jobs you're seeking, or the opportunities that they have? Do you understand? So you need to be careful to ask that question. Why am I actually moving? Why am I relocating, right? I'm going to give you some reasons why not to relocate in a bit, but stay tuned. But that's what you need to ask. The second question, like I said, is, are you supposed to stay there? That's the second question. Are you supposed to move to that place that you're going? Are you sure? Are you supposed to stay, rather, in that place that you're going to? Is that where you're meant to be planted, if I'll use that word, right? You need to be sure of that. So you might not know the whole picture, but I think in terms of your going, you need to already make a decision ahead till further notice. Like, am I supposed to stay, move on from here to another place, or return back home? These are things to actually consider. And then the third thing to ask is, what is the God story in it, right? Especially if you're a believer, your life is no longer your own, as Second Corinthians 5 tells us. Like, your life is no longer your own. You were bought with a price. You are a new person. You are not your own. God bought you. He purchased you. There was a transfer of ownership. So your life is not just yours. It's not just, oh, I live my life whatever however I choose to. There's a God who will hold you accountable, who will ask you questions on the day when you stand before him bare and vulnerable. He will ask you. So what is the God story in this? Is God involved in this move? Does God approve of this move? And I'm going to give you an example from Exodus, in the story of Moses, Exodus chapter 33. We're going to read it right away. Verse 12 to 13 says this. Listen, this is powerful stuff. Then Moses said to the Lord, see, you say to me, bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Like, who is going to go with me? Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found grace in my sight. Now, therefore, I pray, verse 13, right? If I have found grace in your sight, show me your way. Show me not a way, or don't allow me seek my way. Show me your way, that I may know you and find grace in your sight. And consider that this nation is your people. We are your people. Show us your way. I love that he emphasizes that. The funny thing about God, because he is such a perfect gentleman, is if you insist on your own way, he will let you do what you plan to do. If you insist on your own way, he will allow you pursue your own way. But Moses did something that is so rare in our generation that we need to revive and bring back, is consult God. Like, ask the one who owns your life, the one who gives direction. Ask him, what is your way, Lord? I don't want to act like I know it all, like I know what to do and where to go. I need your direction. This is how, God responded, right? And the Lord said, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. That was a beautiful assurance. And I love that that's the picture. My presence will go with you. If you ever make a decision, go to a place where God's presence, God's stamp, God's approval is not on it, you may, for a while, seem to have some success according to human standards, and maybe even up to the rest of your life. That happens, and that's very dangerous. In fact, I've asked God one time in prayer, the Lord, if I'm going out of your will for any reason, help me not to do well in that thing. Like, let it expose that this is not the way to go. I'd rather that than I am succeeding, people are applauding me, people are singing my praises, and I'm completely out of the will of God. That's a dangerous place to be. I will not want to be there. Human beings will see you and say, hey, it's a success. This is a big man. This is a big woman. Your head is there. You are awesome. You are the most successful, top 10 most successful, yoda, 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 Forbes magazines or Time magazine. I mean, all of that will pass away. It means nothing. Many times, the applause of men does not equate to the approbation of God, right? It's just how it is. So, and then this is what, Moses then replies in verse 15 of Exodus 33. If your presence does not go with us, do not bring us up from here. If you are not in support, if your presence is not with us on this thing, if your approval is not on this thing, don't send us from here. I will not leave this place unless I know that you are in it, unless I know that there is a God story here, unless I know that God's fingerprints are all over this decision. For verse 16, for how then will it be known that your people and I have found grace in your sight, except you go with us? That's how we will know that we've truly found grace in your sight. And that's how people will know that we've been favored by you, when you go with us. So we shall be separate, your people and I, from all the people who are upon the face of the earth. So you have to ask the question, has God asked you to move? Is he in support of the move? And even by extension, wherever you're going, is there a community of faith that will welcome you with open arms? Or are you going to some isolated place where you will know no one, have no interaction with Christianity? It's a bit different if the reason you're going is to start a work there, to plant a church or start a fellowship or start a community of saints. It's different. But where you're going to, if that's not what the call has been, is there a community of faith waiting for you that can strengthen your faith and where you can be given to discipleship? These are the real questions you need to ask. Are you meant to be connected and involved to your local assembly where you are currently, right? It's all part of the God story. If God owns your life and the church at large is where God's plans and purposes are for his children to be in the safety of community, you're probably part of a local church, a local assembly where you are. Are you supposed to leave your service in that place at that time? Right? These are the real questions to ask. If you leave them, you cannot serve with them, at least not practically, right? For the time being. So you need to ask this question, especially if the plan is to stay. And it's not just that you're going and you're going to come back. If you're going to stay, has your assignment in that local assembly been completed? Has it been fulfilled? These are important things. God will ask you questions. If he has put within you tasks, desires and passions that need to find expression, and you've not given them expression, most times you will not get a new instruction. Most times I found a lot of people being stuck in a spot where it's like, God is not speaking to me, he's not telling me what next to do. Meanwhile, what he had told you to do, committed into your trust, you failed because you were in a hurry, you were in a haste, you wanted to do things your own way. You missed out the opportunities he had given you, the assignments you had not fulfilled, and you've gone somewhere else where you cannot fulfill those assignments, and you're saying, Lord, show me the way. He already did, and you ditched his way. You went to do your own thing by yourself, for yourself, and it comes with its consequences, right? Except by the mercy of God. And I pray if there's anyone like that right now, where you've lost your way, you've tried to exercise your own authority and your own dominion and your own pleasure, I want to pray that the mercy of God brings you back to the center of his will. I pray that you get another chance to prove your faithfulness. I pray that from the bottom of my heart. But God does recognize faithfulness. He does recognize people who make sacrifices for his cause. Amen. He does. All right. So I want you to ask these questions, right? That's number 3, right? Ultimately, you don't answer to anyone. You answer to God, the God who made you. You don't answer to your parents. It might seem like that for now, but ultimately you don't answer to your parents. You don't answer to your friends. You don't answer to those your course mates who you feel like you're in competition with. Everybody is going ahead. This one's, they're doing their PhD already. This one's, they're in this country. Look at me. You are not going to answer to them. Their path will be entirely different from yours, right? It's a different path, different trajectory. They have different priorities to you, and so you'll always be unique in that way. Don't seek out your own way. Like Moses, I want to encourage you, seek out the Lord's way. All right, with me so far? All right, let's get to the next point, number 4, which I think is important to talk about. Can you really afford to be where you want to move to? It's a very valid question. Where you're moving to, can you really afford it? A lot of people spend decades paying off their student loans when they couldn't secure a scholarship. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans because they wanted to get a master's degree. And eventually, someone who went to do their master's degree, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, now ends up being a YouTuber or being a podcaster, or ends up doing something entirely different than what they went to study. It happens all the time. And sometimes I've found a lot of people, in interacting with them, full of regret. I wish I didn't do that. I wish I had waited. I wish I had even gotten a scholarship instead. I wish I had, and they're, up to their nose. They're not even having food to eat because they're saving up for this. They're having to borrow money from other people and they're not able to pay those things back. Relationships are spoiled because of that. It's a lot. It's really a lot. So I want to encourage you, if you feel like you cannot afford it, you've not secured a scholarship, don't break the bank. I would encourage that. Don't break the bank just yet. Don't pay through your nose just to get your tertiary education abroad. I beg you. Consider it, especially if you're not the one funding that. If it's coming from your parents, be considerate of their situation. A lot of them during that time might be getting close to retirement or already retired. Are you considerate about their situation, their circumstance? All right, I hope you will be. So, can you fend for yourself comfortably? And also, can you afford the initial isolation and seclusion that comes? Right? Can your mental health handle it. For a lot of people, moving to a new place where you really don't know much people is a big move and can take a toll on your mental health. There, I mean, you don't need me to tell you this, but you've seen a lot of people who have moved and were for a long time depressed, isolated, confused. Some even, thinking of making some of the most difficult, toughest decisions. Some people even compromising on their value system because of that. So, can you afford it from a financial standpoint, but can you afford it from a social standpoint as well? So these are things to consider before moving. So let me just help you and tell you some things, right, about when it's not okay to Japa, when it's not okay to relocate. Point number one, to escape your home country. Keyword escape. If that is the word, I think it could be wrong to Japa for that reason, because you just want to escape. You feel like nothing can work for you here, nothing is working, nothing has worked. This is the end of the road, nothing for me here. I need to escape. I think the motivation may be wrong, and you may end up landing into some trouble you didn't anticipate. It's what happens to a lot of people. Where I was living in the UAE, the one of the reasons why Nigeria was blacklisted was because of a lot of the fraudulent things that people were doing. They got to this place, they thought they could wing it, they found out there were no jobs. Hey, and then they find some other alternative. At least let me escape my country, let me do this thing involving fraud, make money, and this is what everybody is doing. It's just not the way to go. Yeah, right. We can't do that. We've stained our name for far too long. Don't escape. You don't have to escape, right? There are people who are still here, who are doing well for themselves and their families, thriving businesses, good pay. They're fine. I know things are difficult right now, and it seems like it's not getting any better, under the leadership of the nation. But you don't escaping, running away is never really a good motivation or a real good reason to move, right? In my own opinion, anyways. You may differ, you may argue, and your circumstance may be different, but I'm just speaking. I feel like the real motivation should be more strategic, more from a standpoint you've thought it out, and it's not necessarily a last resort for you. Do you understand? Yeah. Number two, it's not okay to jackpot when there's no immediate plan in view. Like you're just winging it. I know there's a part of our journey in life where we don't know what the future holds, so we just faith it. We just believe God to do his thing. I know there's a part of that, but it helps to have a plan. When I was relocating, I made sure that I had a plan. I had a job. I remember having a conversation with someone. Someone called me. Someone heard that I was moving to the UAE, moving to Dubai, and he was like, please, Pastor Kenneth, please, sir, don't go. I was there. And when I was there, I couldn't feed for myself. The rent alone, what I was being paid, like I only have just a few dirhams left after I pay my rent. That I couldn't even survive on that. It was tough. I applied to jobs. This. I was looking for jobs, health, for several months, didn't get anything, and I had to relocate somewhere else. It was a terrible experience. It was a terrible experience. I don't want you to go through that again. Don't go through what I went through. And he had assumed I didn't have a plan. That was the point. He thought that Dubai was just that place you go to escape. And I'm like, okay, thanks for your advice and your counsel. I actually have a job that I'm going to there. My housing is sorted, my feeding is sorted, my transportation is sorted. And he was like, okay, that makes it easier. I just spent 1 hour saying all these things that were already covered. I'm like, I think it makes sense to have a plan, right? Even if your plan is to go to school and then work part time, at least apply, get ideas of places you can apply to while working on campus, things like that. Like, have a plan. But if you don't have any plan, you're just winging it. You don't even know what will meet you when you get there. That's super risky. How do you live your life like that? That's careless, right? Except it is a case where you're on a mission. You're a missionary. You're going evangelically. God has sent you. Yes, that happens. You're not really supposed to have a full plan, but if you can plan, if you can already reach out to people in that area that can support you in the work you're doing, it helps your work. the communities there already, then you can talk to neighboring community societies or organizations that can partner with you. Like, those are things you can do. You can make those plans, but just winging things without any plan, without being organized, will not help you in the long run. Um, when it's not okay, number three, if you're trying to find greener pastures, if you're trying to find greener pastures, I'm going to talk about this some more. A lot of people think that greener pastures are where the economy is thriving, where the economy is better, but I believe truly that greener pastures are where the good shepherd is. That's my idea of prosperity. Where the good shepherd is, where his approval is, where his way is, that's where the greener pastures are for you, right? It's not about the economy of that country and how it's thriving. It's about what God wants for you, where he has placed you. Do you understand? Right. So if you're just going to find greener pastures, you may also be going with the wrong intention. Number four, it's not okay to Japa when there's no solid Christian community where you're going to. I don't believe we're saved to be in isolation. We're saved to be in the company of believers who have like minds as we are. And many times you might not find the exact type of church you want to be a part of that shares the exact same doctrinal positions, but sometimes there's just enough. Like, okay, they have the foundational things right. We click on this thing, we have common ground here, and I think you can make that decision to have that happen. But I think it's imperative, right? But now, because what's happening now is, as a parent, you don't want to ship your kid to another country, ship them right off, and you don't know what is happening to them. A lot of parents they've overestimated their parental ability, honestly, and they think they've done a good job, whereas sometimes it can just end up devastating these kids. And we need to be better. You need to do better for yourself. If you're in a case where you're also being pushed hard to make a decision of relocating when you're not ready for it, or you don't think it's necessary even, then you need to be assertive. You need to stand there. It's your life at the end of the day. You would suffer all the consequences if it turns out to be the wrong choice or decision. Do you understand? So you need to be more assertive. You need to be more convincing. Find a middle ground where both parties can compromise, but for what it's worth, you need to stand your ground. You need to be assertive as an adult. I know it's, when I say adult in this African context, it means something different. The most feels like no matter how old you get, as long as you're under your parents' roof, you're still not an adult. But as much as you can be assertive, stand your ground on that decision, right? All right. And then when it's okay to jackpot, number one, I'll just say this: if it's for the further spread of the gospel, I think it'll be okay. Of course, the one who sends you needs to approve of it as well. You can't just go anywhere and say, I want to go to Canada, or I want to go to Maldives. The population there, they're Muslims mostly. I want to just, evangelize on that nice beach resort. Just preach the gospel to them. Receive. Life is not hard there. They receive the gospel. Okay, well done, eh? Keep it up. Well, if you're going to spread the gospel, and that's why God has asked you to move, then please make sure you do that. If it's to further your education or career, like I said, it's always fine, but you need to remember to ask that question, that buffer question: am I supposed to stay? And it's okay if you have no ministerial ties and whatnot. You feel like God hasn't called you specifically to minister in a place, then yeah, you can consider that. But if it's not the case, then it's not going to be cool to just jackpot like that, right? My thoughts, like I said, about prosperity is it's not about where you reside. It's about who resides in you. That's what prosperity is about. It's about who is with you on this journey. It's about where the good shepherd is. Right? Look at Proverbs 3, verse 5-7. It says this beautifully. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Then he says in verse 7, be not wise in your own eyes. And this is where a lot of people think they're doing well, but you're wise in your own eyes, but foolish in God's eyes. It says, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Like, seek his way over your way. Every time, seek his way over your way. His way needs to win every time because he loves you so much and owns you he purchased you with his blood. So yes, do the bidding of your maker, right? And just to wrap it up, if you're not going to Japa, what do you do now? Okay, Pastor Kenneth, I've heard you Fine, you've convinced me. By the way, there's this book I can recommend to you. It's called The Personal MBA. Interestingly, this was a an alumnus from the company I worked with. We worked in the same company. Josh Kaufman, if I'm not mistaken. He wrote this book, and I found it so insightful. It's like it's called My Personal a Personal MBA, and I found it so helpful. He basically trashed the idea, the conventional idea of getting a master's degree, or getting an MBA in business administration or master's in business administration. He trashed the idea, like, save your hundreds of thousands of dollars, get information, right? Not just from this book, which trust me, if you read that book, you'll be good, you'll be fine. But other sources of information that can help you manage or launch that business of your dreams, right? And you save yourself a lot of money that you could use for capital to start that business, right? So I mean, the different views about this. These are my own personal views. I think they're helpful, and many times when it comes to compensation, many companies compensate based on your educational experience. For sure, I agree. But again, if it's something that you don't have a scholarship to support and it's going to be difficult to raise the money, yes, I know, trust God, faith it till you make it. I get it, but be wise as well. Don't be wise in your own eyes. And I mean, so, but yeah, like I was saying, if you're not going to Japa, what are you going to do now? Number one is this: find a safe space, right? Find ways to alleviate stress and anxiety in an economy and a country that does not support you. Find those spaces that are safe, that make you happy again, things that you love to do. I'm telling you, these are practical things. If you're going to be in this country that things are not so working so well, find a safe space. I think we Nigerians, we try to adapt so well, to things that happen. We laugh things off. We create memes at every terrible thing that happens. We try to find joy in these things, and I think that's very great. But beyond that, I think we need to find safe spaces, especially in community of friends or other believers, people that you can do life with. All right. Number two, actively build your career or business. Like, with the skills you have, the experience you have, apply for that job. In the career you are, put in the extra work, put in the extra hours, be visible to those who matter in the company, rise, grow, occupy. Number three, serve God. Like, keep serving God as you've done. In serving God, you're proving faithful to what He has called you to do. And so from there, more opportunities will come to grow into more leadership. And see, that's a beautiful place to be. Honestly, serve God with all your heart, even while you're here. Contribute to the society around you. Contribute. I think it will be very powerful to do that. Contribute, give to the poor, help your neighbor, be someone that brings light, in dark places in your society. And number five, have faith in God for the nation. As much as it might be a bit difficult, I was speaking to my barber yesterday. I was like, don't worry. I hope even if this pepper that we're buying 2.5 is too expensive, even though it becomes 5,000, we still believe in a better Nigeria. 10,000, we still believe in a better Nigeria. I was like, that's impressive. Believe and have faith in God for the nation. I know that's not where it stops. There's work to be done. There are things that need to be rooted out, people that need to be rooted out. But long story short, believe in God for this. All right. I talk more about this on a teaching I did at church. You can just go check it out here. It's going to help you. I fleshed this all out more. So I hope this really does help you make that decision to stay or go. Should I stay or should I go? Cue the music. I hope you have the answer right now. I hope this helped make the decision better for you. So I wish you all the best. And see you next time, whether you're in the country or out of the country. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I love you very much. Thank you. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.